Today I wish to talk to you about managers. Well, generally speaking. I'm Chris Wolvie, the wrestling vlogger who always tells it like it is. I think there is very, very little chance that Braun Strowman won't show up for the TLC match at the pay-per-view. And if for some reason he doesn't, I'm certain Stephanie McMahon will allow for a substitution against Baron Corbin. But what happens if they don't? What happens if Baron Corbin wins by forfeit? Or worse, what if the triad of Corbin, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley, and Lio Rush, overwhelm the injured monster among men and actually wins the match? What if Baron Corbin becomes permanent general manager of Monday Night Raw? Chaos. Absolute and utter chaos. And that's not just because we all know Corbin will be a heel's best friend. There's precedent for this, you know. I mean, back in 2002, after Mr. McMahon won back complete control of the WWE from Ric Flair, he decided to keep the brand separate, but to install general managers for each one. Nepotism gave Stephanie the SmackDown gig, while in perhaps the most shocking turn of events in WWE history, former WCW frontman Eric Bischoff was given the Raw reins. And it was chaos. But then again, as Bischoff put it in his book, controversy creates cash. During his 3.5-year reign, it was rather nutso. So much so that Steve Austin and Mick Foley had to step in to pull him back from the precipice of dictatorship. Meanwhile, SmackDown couldn't hold on to a GM if they were superglued to it. Oh, Steph held on for a year or so before losing the job to Paul Heyman. Oh, and seeing Bischoff, Heyman, and McMahon together just before the first WWE draft sent chills up my spine. Then came Kurt Angle for a few months before Teddy Long took over and made SmackDown holla again for just over 3 years. Vicky Guerrero would take over for a time with her "excuse me" attitude, but Teddy would get it back. Back on Raw, when Bischoff was dumped, literally, off of Raw, the job would jump from Jonathan Coachman to William Regal to Mike Adamle, remember him, to the McMahons to, of all people, Donald Trump for a week. Then there were various guest hosts from Dennis Miller to the Muppets, and Bret Hart hacked it for a month. Then in came the anonymous general manager who telecommuted his orders from who knows where. I still don't think it's Hornswoggle. The split started to come to an end when John Laurinaitis showed Raw people power before taking over SmackDown as well in 2012. Then the job hopped around and split again. AJ Lee, Brad Maddox, Eve Torres, more guest hosts, eventually leading to the brands re-merging when Randy Orton became WWE World Heavyweight Champion in 2013, and Triple H and the McMahons became Lord and Lady High Chamberlains again. Then, of course, in July of 2016, the brand split again with Steph and the returning Shane McMahon as commissioners, and for some reason they needed general managers for the times when they didn't want to be on the telly. Shane chose Daniel Bryan, and things were pretty smooth for them. Steph chose Mick Foley, and styles clashed, as AJ would say. Before Steph could find someone compatible after canning Foley, she got hurt, and Mr. McMahon made the choice for her in newly minted Hall of Famer Kurt Angle. Without Steph yanking his chain, he did fine. But when Steph appointed Corbin as constable to make sure Angle would do things her way, things got ugly again. And when Angle was put on indefinite vacation earlier this year, things really went to pot. On SmackDown, Bryan returned to the ring, and Paige, who just retired from in-ring fighting, took over. Now, Corbin has already made it clear that should he win at TLC, he intends to rule Raw with an iron fist. Several, in fact, if McIntyre and Lashley stick around. He intends to gift ass kissers with opportunities while punishing those who dare stand against them. It's not exactly I have the gold, I make the rules as much as it is I am the decider, and I decided to help my allies and nuke my enemies. Oh, yeah, and Regal's GM of NXT taking over for the late great Dusty Rhodes, and Drake Maverick is both GMing 205 Live and managing the AOP, which I still think is a conflict of interest. But anyway, general managers have been up and down the charts over the last 16 years. When they've been good, they've been decent. When they've been bad, hell bangs on the ceiling yelling, "Keep it down, we're trying to keep up with you guys." Can't say things aren't kept interesting, though, and if Corbin takes over Raw, it will be interesting, but more chaotic than Bischoff could ever dream. Help us, Braun Strowman. Good elbow or bad, you're our only hope to keep sanity on Raw. I'm Chris Wolvie, the wrestling blogger who always tells it like it is. See ya.